Today we're going to be doing a little spring cleaning. I'm going to take you through some areas of my house that have been pretty majorly neglected. Some of these things I haven't ever done, and some I haven't done in at least a year. But it's time to change that, so let's get to it. Hi, I'm Megan, and this is Simply Busy Home. I make videos on home management, homekeeping, and homemaking. And like I said before, today we're going to be doing some spring cleaning. So this video was filmed over the course of maybe 3 days or so. I started out by preparing some houseplants and putting some beautiful flowers in glass jars that I saved for this purpose. But then it started to rain and the lighting wasn't quite right for me to get good footage of what I would be doing. The next day when we were doing the windows, my husband Hector was mowing the lawn and got stung by a wasp, which he's very allergic to. He really should keep an EpiPen, but he doesn't have one. That's going to change here soon after he follows up with his doctor. It was a whole event. But thankfully, he only got stung once, and so we ended up only having to give him allergy medicine, and he rested the remainder of the evening. So we started off the second day vacuuming under our couch cushions. And this is one of those things that hasn't been done in over a year, or at least a year. It was pretty gross. We found lots of pencils and hair ties and crumbs. I really thought I'd find a lot of change under there, but sadly I'm only 3 cents richer. So my hope is that after doing these tasks that have not been being done, I'll start to keep up with them more often. Now, I don't know if they'll be a part of any weekly routine, but at least I'd like to try to tackle these couch cushions a couple times a month. How often do you vacuum under your couch cushions? I really need to take some time, maybe on an office day, to reevaluate our kids' chores and responsibilities, and they'd be able to help out with this task. I haven't done this in a while, so it's definitely overdue. Okay, so that is so much better, and hopefully it will never get like that again. Next was almost just as bad, underneath the couch. I think what's happening is sometimes shortcuts are taken when the girls are quickly tidying up the living room and things are getting shoved under the couch instead of either being thrown away or put back where it belongs. So it looks like I need to check their work a little more thoroughly. So since the girls are the culprit here, I thought it best for them to be the ones to get on the floor and pull everything out and then help to figure out if it's going to get thrown away or kept. Now on to the next thing, windows, sills, and blinds. These are among the things that I have never done. And I think it's because it just feels like one of those tedious things that I don't really feel like doing. I don't have a duster. But I do have these microfiber towels that should work just fine. What do you use? Would you say that having a duster is easier to wipe down the blinds, or is it better just to use something like a cloth? So we dusted the blinds with a dry cloth first and then rinsed it off and used a bucket of warm water mixed with vinegar to wash the windows and the sills. So I wanted to give a bit of encouragement in this video. I knew that it was going to be about spring cleaning, but like I've said before, as keepers and managers of our home, it's not just about the things that we do that keep our households running, like cooking, cleaning, laundry, etc. And so I thought about how I was going through my home intentionally, looking for and thinking about different areas that I could pay more attention to, clean up, and work on keeping up. And I thought about how closely this correlates to our spiritual health and how we have things that we do on a regular basis, like regular upkeep spiritually, like praying, maybe you do a devotional, Bible reading, fellowship, and these are all good things, necessary things. We ought not forsake the assembling of the saints, like Hebrews 10 tells us, and we ought to pray without ceasing, like 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 says, and study the Holy Scriptures, like 2 Timothy chapter 2 instructs us. But sometimes we can get into a routine of it, and that's not bad in and of itself, but sometimes we can lose the reverence aspect of it, and we can be loving the Lord our God possibly with all our mind, but maybe not necessarily with much of our heart and soul and strength. It is a good thing, pertinent actually, to examine ourselves, like we're told in 2 Corinthians chapter 13. And also to ask the Lord to search us and to see if there be any wicked way in us, as King David prayed in Psalm 139. Now, I mainly use the New King James. The NASB says to search me if there be any hurtful way in me, and the ESV says if there be any grievous way in me. This gives us the opportunity for repentance, which is a beautiful gift. And if it's this is something that you'd like to read further on, you can see Acts 11 verse 18, Romans 2:4, 2 Peter 3:9, and I'm going to try to link an article from Ligonier.org, which is actually called The Gift of Repentance. And so that would be my encouragement to you today. Let us examine ourselves in a similar way that we examine our homes to see what needs to be cleaned up, thrown out, or offered to our King. Okay, so the oven is the other thing on my list that I've never done, at least not in this house. And in my defense, I'm typically not a very messy baker. I usually don't have spills, but recently I did have one when I made a big batch of meat. And I think the pans just weren't big enough to handle it all. So It was a mess. I had to open the windows and doors and let the smoke out. So it needs to be clean. So I'm trying a couple different methods. And the first is this paste that I saw somebody on YouTube using. They mixed baking soda and castile soap. It didn't work well, and I did not like the smell. It's possibly because the soap is peppermint scented, which I don't mind on its own. I use this soap sometimes to wash my dishes. I make the foaming hand soap with it, and it's pretty pleasant, but it seemed to be enhanced and unpleasant to me in this paste form. So I will not be using that again. The second thing I tried was just simple ivory dish soap and warm water. And lastly, I tried using the pink stuff. And I've seen people use this also on YouTube, and I wanted to give it a try. But let me tell you, I will be giving this stuff away. I did not like the smell of it, and it also didn't work. This might be because I may not have used it correctly. I didn't let it sit. But honestly, I felt like the dish soap worked the best. And I'm almost willing to bet that if I had like some Blue Dawn dish soap, that would have given even better results. And the last thing that I was going to do was change my AC filter. But when I went to go check it, it wasn't ready to be changed. So that's probably the only thing on my list that we actually do keep up with. We do that quarterly. So I think Hector's actually the one that did it last time. So it didn't need to be done. So now I have an extra one when the time does come. Well, I hope you got some inspiration and maybe a little encouragement from today's video. And speaking of, a thumbs up is actually a big encouragement for me. And so if you have not started on your own spring cleaning, then maybe try starting with one of the things I had on my list. Next week, we'll be doing some cooking in the kitchen, and I'm really excited about that. If you know me, you know I love to eat, so this one's right up my alley. Well, if you're new here, I would love for you to consider subscribing to my channel. I endeavor to make a new video each week, and if you hit the notification bell, you won't miss it. I hope to see you next time. Take care.